Yes, I'm trying to get this one out. This is going to be my last one, Genesis 26. And we're starting off where we left off with this is Isaac, and basically what is going on right now. There was a famine in the land, and so yeah, Genesis chapter 26, I'm reading for verse 1. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the former famine, meaning that was in the days of Abraham, so it was different. And Isaac went to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines. That's the one his father had went to, but I don't know if they're the same. I believe it's just the name. But Gerar means, what's Gerar mean? I thought I wrote it down. I'll have to wait and see if I can get to it. I'll go back to it when I find it in my notes. And then and the Lord appeared to him and said, do not go down to Egypt. So this is what God said to him. So we got to pay attention to what God is saying. So he didn't want him to go back there. Dwell in the land of which I will tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your offspring I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham your father. So now we're starting to see the promise is coming forth, meaning they waited for Isaac to be born. He's here. He's grown. He's married. His father's passed on and his mother. And now this is the transition situation to where now the covenant and the blessings and everything is being transferred over into Isaac, and he was the promise. He was the one that was going to continue it on. Remember, the bloodline, each generation is stronger than the last, and they're going to do more powerful things. They're going to carry things further on, and this is why this is so important. And they carry on either blessings and curses, which is both, because if you're sinning or you have sin or unresolved stuff, it's going to go in. He said, I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and will give to you and your offspring all these lands, and in your offspring all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice, meaning his father, and kept my charge and my commandments and my statutes and my laws. This is why they're blessed. Not for no seed, not for none of that. No, they're blessed because one, they were obedient, not all the time, because they did some stuff too, but God still covered them. Two, because they were willing and they covenants and they made altars and whatever. They worship God. They were obedient to God for the most part, not completely perfect because we're not. And this is why God, blessed them. He chose them. So Isaac went there and he was having issues. So he did the same thing his father did. He lied about the wife. Now you see how that was passed down from his father. So that was one of the things that was passed down. He went there and he lied and said the same thing. His wife was his sister. Now his father did that twice with his mother. Remember, in the same lands. And mind you, God was with them because they could have been killed for these type of things. Remember, these are like pharaohs and higher ups, and they're just taking these women to go, and they're not supposed to, because those are blessings and curses. Remember, those are curses to take somebody else's wife. We may think in this day and age that it's something simple to just lay with somebody else's wife. These are things you could have been killed for. So he said the same thing. Rebecca was attractive, and then the king did the same thing. He looked out the window, saw him laughing with Rebecca, and said to him, I thought you said that this was your friend and not your wife. He said, behold, this is way. So he said, you told me this was your sister. I said, I thought, yeah, unless I die because of her. So he did the same thing. So Amalek said, what have you done as? Yeah, he told him to get away from us, He said, we could have easily laid with your wife. You could have brought guilt upon us. So he's one of them people saying, whoever touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. That was nothing but God, because just the fact that they lied, his father lied, and it could have been an issue, and they could have been put to death, they could have killed them. So God was covering them even in a mess. This is why we have to be very careful. Even when we in our mess, I just thank God. When we're not living right, we think about all the times that he has still, even when we weren't obeying, faithful to us. So Isaac showed the land. He reaped the same. Okay, so what happened was during the famine, Isaac went off on his way because they told him to move and get away from them. So he sowed in that land and he reaped the same year 100-fold because God had blessed him. Now you see how God can bless you and everybody else. So during the time of famine, Okay, this is what was going on with him. Everybody else was strange, scrambling around, but God blessed him in the time of famine where he planted seeds and crops and they reap 100-fold. So don't tell me God ain't good, and don't tell me man and all what we see is nah, because God does what he does when he get ready to do it. And when he show up and he shows out. And it couldn't have been nobody but God, because if everybody else is struggling, it's a famine for food, and he the only one cry. Something about that man is different from everybody else, and it ain't what we see. So in the beginning, he wasn't doubting. He was doubting and not trusting in God. This is something that his father and him went through. They had the issue with Hagar. They were impatient. They lied about Sarah, and he lied again. He lied about his wife. They were sent off. He sent off concubines. They got sibling rivalry. These are the things that are going on that I see in their lives. But although God is still working it out, the good and the bad, see the blessing and the sin and the curses and all of these things. The famine did not stop him from being blessed. It did not stop him from protection and guidance. This is the things that God does when you're with God, no matter what's going on in the world. When it comes to this, he told him not to go to Egypt. Why? Because them people didn't like him. He had issues with the people. Them people were, having issues. So God gave him the instruction, the guide, and provision to go exactly where he told him to, so that he would be blessed. Why? If you get away from the people, I'm going to make sure you eat. He wasn't blessing them other folks. They were in famine. Whatever them folks did, they were not living for God. Those were not godly people. So he separated him and blessed him where he was. You see how God instructs, provides, guides, and provides for you and protects you? Protected him from being killed. So God's blessings now upon his life was transferred, like I said, from his father. Now he has to walk with him himself and have his own relationship. So it's no longer about, now the original covenant is with Abraham, but it's passing on because we're still up under the covenant of Abraham. It is one of the original covenants that was, brought when it comes to kingdom and kingdom children. That would say, you always talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are the ones, the altars and covenants that were made, the agreements, the contracts, the oaths that they took with God, and they still stand to this day. That's how important that they are. So after the lion and all this, God still protects him. He still went on ahead. He's got to build his own faith, his own trust with Isaac. Why? Because now it's time for Isaac to know God for himself, not through his father. Why? Because it's time for God to work on him now. Why? Because we got to get this thing to continue to go on. Why? So now Abraham's gone. It's just him and God now. And God is revealing to him and showing him himself in his life. He's showing Isaac through the things that are going on, even the issues and the stuff he's getting into on his own. God is still fixing this, just like he did with Abraham. Ain't God good? Ain't he so faithful? He really is. So there came an issue with these wells, and they had, remember his father had planted these wells, and these people had dug them up. So they were hating already, didn't like it. Why? Because Abraham was wealthy and now he's wealthy. So they had some issues. They had issues with the wells. And so they're hating it, want to dispute him over these wells. So they had put earth in them, meaning that the wells his father had dug, they weren't there no more. They were there, but they put earth in them. So they covered them up. So what happened was they had to, have a conversation because there was some issues with the wells, and they made him. He went to the first place to dig another one. They told him he couldn't. He went to another place. Then he went to the third place. So the name of these wells was Ezek, meaning quarrel, Sitnah, meaning enmity, opposition, and the third one was Rehoboth, which means broad place, room for us. And then where they settled was Beersheba, which would be the place that he's going to eventually have his own oath. So with the wells, the Philistine filled the wells Abraham dug, and there was issues, like I said. They were jealous of him. And Isaac said to them, well, what is this issue? You don't even like me. So, they came to an agreement. They decided, to go on ahead, and he finally found his own wells, different ones, since it was issues. And because when people are trying to oppose you, you got to understand something. And they're doing this because out of spite, God is still going to bless you. And he going to let whatever they're doing, he going to let them see that in the end it didn't matter because you did all of that, and in the end it's still gonna be what he wanted it to be. You see what I'm saying? He's still gonna bless you in spite of them. So you can't even worry that much hating and jealousy they did with him with this well situation. Those were the wells his father dug, and they covered him up. So when he came back to the land, he could have used them. Why? To feed his sheep and cattle and stuff. Why? Because when you're wealthy like that and you have that much stuff, yeah, you have to separate. That's why they had to separate. It was a time of famine. They couldn't withhold all of his stuff and theirs. Why? And then they fighting amongst themselves over the wells, over how to feed. So they had to separate. And so now we get down to the part where, okay, so now they finally got to settle. And this is where God comes to him and speaks to him himself and starts talking to him about what he's going to do and from what they're going to do from here on. So God says from there he went to Beersheba after they, figured out the situation with these wells. Okay, so now he's able to move, be settled, and have his own plot of land where him and his cattle and all of his stuff is going to be able to be taken care of. Why? They don't want him around. They're jealous. They feel like he's too wealthy, and they despise that. Why? Because it's not them. He's blessed during the famine, and they're struggling. They don't like that. This is what I mean when I was talking about last time. People don't like you. They'll have issues with you. They'll do things to you. This is what I'm talking about. For no reason. Just because they don't like you and they have a problem with you and they don't want to see you do well, they feel like you don't deserve it, you shouldn't have it. They could be people in your family, your friends, they could be people on the outside, whatever it is. But when God is over your life and they can't stand it, because it's nothing but Satan in them. That spirit of Satan, that evil spirit of hatred and envy and covetedness and jealousy and all of that. So, and we've seen it in Cain. We continue to see it all the way down when folks just hate you and don't want you to have nothing and feel like they're entitled to it and you're not, and they're above you and you're beneath them. This is all this is about. But that's nothing but Satan want to exalt himself as he always does over people, especially God's people. But you don't want to play with God people, especially certain ones, because you will find yourself in situations. This is why you better know who's who and what's what, especially when it comes to the spirit realm. Natural realm people look like regular people, but you don't know who God deals with like that on a relationship level to where he really deals with them. Because you start messing with them, it ain't you got to worry about, because God's going to deal with you for them. He's going to handle them people for that person. Why? Because you're not fighting the person. You're fighting God. If he's with you and he's telling you to do these things and to go, and you trying to block and stop them, and you think you somebody, you over them, oh, God will sit you down. He'll show you it ain't even about me or anybody else. No, it's about him. If he put you there to do it, oh, when you oppose me, you oppose him. It ain't me that I got a problem with. You don't even have a problem with me, because the problem is really not me. It's you gonna have a problem with God. Because if he the one sent me and told me to say and do certain things and you opposing me, you're not opposing me. You're opposing him. The battle is not mine. It's his. So here we go. So this is how God had it. He appeared to him and said, I'm the Lord God of Abraham and father. Fear not, for I'm with you. Yes, Lord. And I will bless you and multiply you and your offspring for my servant's sake. Abraham, his father. So there is where, this is in Beersheba, he built the altar. Now the Beersheba means well of seven. Well of oath, which means completion. 7 is a number in God. It is a number. They call it lucky. No, it's blessed. Why? Because it's the number of completion. So that's where he dug the well. He pitched a tent, he dug the well, and he did the altar, meaning they built the altar, dug the well, and that's where they prayed and worshiped God at. That's the contract, the binding. Whatever he said, it was said right here. This is where we're going to worship, because this is where God came to me and talked to me at. So now I'm going to build this altar in honor of him to worship him. So now we're going to come here. We're going to worship him on this altar. Why? Because this is where we're going to honor this place. We're going to, why? Because God came here. We're going to worship and praise him here. And this is why these things are so important. Why? Because they're thankful. They're grateful that he is with them, and that they're just showing the gratefulness, the thankfulness in it. You know how you do stuff for people, they don't even thank you, they don't even acknowledge you, they don't even pay you no mind, but they feel entitled. Like I said, folks, they want you to deal with their life and want you to do for them and be involved in their life, but they forget about you and yours. They don't care about what you got going on. They just care about themselves and what long as you can support them, do this, do that, and I've had it in my life with folks folks didn't support, didn't help, but they expect me to do it. But I don't worry about it. You want to know why? Because God is going to do it in his own time for me. So I don't even worry. But they don't got to support me now. I don't have to ask no money. I don't have to do none of that. God is going to do it. That's why he don't want nobody to get the glory out of it but him. Not out of my life. He just don't. He just say, don't worry about them people. They're not gonna say it was because you made it because of them. No, you made it because of me. And don't ever forget that when you get to where you're going. After you pray for, you prayed and you got it. Don't leave God then, because a lot of folks do. So the people came to him and said that they say plainly see that the Lord is with him. So they said after they did all that warring, they want to make a covenant with him. Isaac, see, God will make your enemies your footstool. He will make the same people that can't stand you when they see what's going on. Oh yeah, they'll have to bow down not to you, but to God, because it's not you. It's not by your might, not your by power. It's not by your none of that. It's by God's. He's the one doing it. So they came and wanted a covenant because they want to have peace with him, because they see God is blessing him. Right, and regardless to the family. He's the only one really doing well. Everybody else is barely making it, struggling. So they went and they made peace with him, because he looking at them like, y'all came over here to talk to me. Y'all didn't want me around y'all. Y'all sent me away, told me to go and get away from y'all. Now y'all coming to talk to me? Yeah, they coming to talk because they see, guess what? It's something different about him. Something is different about him. What? God is different about him. God is the one with him. That is what's different. And you can't fight God. So you can like him or not like him, but you better not fool with him. Because if you do, you're going to be fooling with God. So they went and made their oath with him. They exchanged food and all of that. And then after that, they left. So the same day Isaac's service came about, that well, they dug and said to him, we found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. So this is what went on. Like I said, they hated him. They didn't want him to have nothing. Sheba means oath, meaning that they found water. So this is the last one, and then they're going to get into Esau, because remember, Jacob and Esau, they're twins and they were brothers. But I don't want to get into Esau yet, because that's going to be in the next one. But when we look at this, we must understand something. It is best to be with God, because God is the one that's he is the main key factor of your life. And if we don't pay it no mind or pay it no attention, it is what it is. God is what's going to make the difference of that business going or not, if it makes it or don't. Because there's so many businesses, there's so many people, there's so much everything. God is, and see, with the devil, he works with his people and he makes them prosperous. Why? Because those people work for him. That's why you see a lot of the evil ones prospering. Because guess what? The kingdom suffers violence, and the violence shall take it by force. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, if we know how to fight and get it back. This is the thing. Why? Because they tricked from the time of Adam and Eve in the garden. They tricked us out of everything. So we got to study to show ourselves approved, to find out how to fight in war and to get back everything that the devil has stolen from us, from our families, from our bloodline. Why? From the world. Why? Because he's taking stuff that does not belong. He don't have nothing to give nobody. He steals. They steal destiny, stars, all these things from people. From who? God's people. Okay, the ones God gave it to and blessed, but because they're not paying attention, they're not walking right, they're not covenant to God, they're walking in sin, they're not living their lives right. Guess what? It's a free-for-all. So once we covenant back to God, we get it back. You see, God's hand was upon them. He was with them. He didn't allow nobody to mess over them or do nothing to them, until when they disobeyed, turned from him, went towards the devil and his ways, and fell into sin. Then the devil was able to wreak havoc in their lives. And this is where they was battling and doing all this evil wickedness. So we have to be careful. And remember, the blessings and the curses go down up to the 4th and 5th generation. But we got to understand something. It gets passed on even further if you're not paying, if you're not fighting, if no one's doing anything about it. So this is what we're seeing. And this is a very important situation, because now we're seeing the promise. We're seeing the promises God made to Abraham. We've been seeing it throughout this whole time of whatever God said. It may have taken time. It may not have worked exactly the way he thought it or wanted it to go, but it did work out. It may have taken time. He may have had to wait, but it happened. So when we're waiting and we're praying and we're waiting on God to do things, and we got to understand it's going to happen. Faith and trust. But in the meantime and in between time, we got to stay on our grind, meaning stay right in our walk with God. That means right living. We got to stay praying. We got to stay fasting. We got to stay warring. We got to stay, preaching, teaching, or sharing the word, sharing the gospel with whoever. We got to stay doing the things of God, meaning the things He wants us to do, helping the poor, being good to one another, loving each other, helping each other, doing for each other. These are the things that we're called to do. One is the commandments. Okay, then it's the fruits of the spirit, then it's bearing the fruit. All of these things we must be doing. Why? Because this is what we're called to do. And more than anything, figuring out our purpose and our assignment in life so that we can fulfill whatever it is that God has called us to do. We all have something here to do on earth. Why? Because we're all a part of the kingdom of what? Heaven. And we're supposed to be what? Fighting against who? The kingdom of Satan and darkness. We all are soldiers of the Lord, whether we realize it or not. Okay, and this is why God spares you and He allows you to be out there, but still covers you, because He's waiting on you to come back and realize that you can't do it and live in this world without Him. Because without Him, you're just out here, and the world and the devil is just doing what they want to do to you. So if you're not saved, please get your life right. You don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect. And I'm not saying you don't have to be perfect, meaning you don't have to start living right. What I'm saying is it's going to take time, and more than anything, it's going to take God. It's going to take Him to work in you, work through you, and get these thoughts and wants and stuff out of you. These are spiritual things. You got to be cleansed on the inside, your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, from the inside out. And the only way is to confess it, to walk with God, and to allow Him to do the changes, meaning you got to not, you trying to not smoke, you can't smoke, can't be around folks who smoke. You stop having sex, you got to be pure. You can't be having sex, you can't be running around doing all these. This is where you got to come out from among them. You can't do these things no more. You got to walk right. And then it's more to it than that, because all the stuff on the inside, even after you walk right, got to come out. He gonna take all of that out of you. The smoking, the cussing, the drinking, the fornicate. He got to work and take it out of you, but you got to work with Him to do it. So this is where we are. We're seeing the promises. It is not a waste of time. It is not, people will tell you it's not worth it. The lies from the pit of hell, from Satan and devil himself. You may not get instant gratification living for God like they will, but it is worth it, because when your time comes, and as long and no matter what, we serve God for who He is and not for what He does, because He can wait or not give you or will not do this, but that don't mean we stop serving Him, loving Him, praying, worshiping, because no matter what, He is the creator and He is worthy of all the honor, the glory, and the praise. It is not me, it is not you, it is not us. It's not about us, it's about Him. It's all about Him. He allows us to be here and have lives. Of course He does. Does He want us to be happy? Of course He does. Does He want us to have relationships and love? And yes, but He doesn't want you to make an idol, to worship it, and to put it before Him. That's it. And He does not want you in Satan and Satan kingdom and doing what Satan does and tells you to do. That is not. Satan is His enemy. He is not His friend. And we are His children. We do not go against God for His enemy. And think, that's an okay situation. I'm hoping that this blessed someone. I'm hoping we're seeing a lot of what's going on. We're going to get into Esau and how his children became, remember, they're going to war. We're going to see how that's going to happen, because even right now, even over there, right now, they're warring. But those Jews are not the real Jews. And we're going to get into that down the line. And it is a battle of, the land over there, but it's really a spiritual battle, and it is an end time battle that was foretold way long ago of what's going to happen in the end time. You're going to see wars, pestilence, all of these things, famine, all these earthquakes and stuff coming out in places, that ain't supposed to be happening. They said Dubai had flooded. How does it floods? All these type of different things is going on. We're going to start seeing them, and we're seeing them, and we need to pay attention, because although people can say whatever they want to say about the Bible and about religion and all of this other stuff, it's not about that. It's about Jesus. It's about our Creator, the Father, Jehovah. It's about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, that came here to die for us, to bridge it back. And it's about the Holy Spirit, who's going to help guide us and lead us and comfort us while we're here. So this is what it's about. And if you don't have them, you need to get them. And you need to be asking God to come into your life. You need to be seeking Him, seeking knowledge of Him, wanting to know about yourself, about God, about your life, about God, what He has for you, what He says for you in your life, what He wants you to do, who He says you are, what He's called told you to do. These are the important things. All this other stuff is just nonsense, okay? It's here, it will move, it will come, it will go. I promise you it will. This is why I said I am only focused on this, because I know what it is to have and to lose, and the people there, people not, and all of that. I already know. I don't care nothing about none of that stuff anymore, because the one thing I do know, the constant in my life, whether I was up, down, in, out, right, wrong, or anything else, is God. He was faithful. He loved me regardless of me, in spite of me, whether I was in the right or in the wrong, whether I was living right or not. He still guided and protected me. He still was there. So no matter what it is going on in my life from this point forward, I have to understand within my heart and my soul, I love him. I love him for what he's done, what he's doing, and what he will do. And everything in my life, he's going to work it out, whether it's what I like or want or not. It's up to him. It's his will for my life, not mine. I may want it to be one way, but it may not be that way. That may not be the will. But see, they teach all these other things with seed and stuff. It's lies. You don't have to sow no seed to have no relationship or no blessing. It tells you in here, repent, turn from your ways, live right. This is how you get the blessings of God. And it's only in his time, if he wants you to have it, if it's good for you to have, and all these type of things. So these people are lying to you about all of these things. Do not be deceived by these things. Jesus came here and did not ask nobody for no money. He did not ask no money to heal, to preach, to teach to you, nothing. He never did. When he went into the synagogues, he turned them tables over because they were preaching and teaching and they were charging. They made the house a house of den of thieves. Guess what? It's a house of prayer. It is not supposed to be making money. Folks is turning the gospel into what? A job. It is a currency. They're making money. You didn't see the apostles making money all throughout this time. God blessed them, but you didn't see them asking for money. Moses, Abraham, none of them. Isaac, Jacob, when you look, which one of them did you see out here asking for money? That's all I'm going to say. Jesus is Jesus. When Jesus came here, he didn't ask nobody for no money. Jesus was homeless. He lived out in the open. This is what he did. And he still preached, teach, and heal, and gave and gave and gave everything, even his life for us. So we're not going to sit here and allow these people to think everything in this world is about money. Because it's not. And if you're living your life that way, that is the way of hell. That is the way of Satan. Satan runs things with money. He gets something out of it. God ain't asked us to do that. He wants you to live right. He wants a relationship with you. He wants your heart. He wants the love that he gives to you. He wants you to love him and have a relationship with him. Because way before money was made and all these things, what happened? He was walking in the garden with Adam and Eve every day. He had an actual relationship. They saw him. They talked to him every day. Why we can't do that? Because of sin. That is what interrupts. That's the death he was talking about. The spiritual one and the natural, because we didn't die until then. We lived. So when you think about what we lost, and what we're dealing with now, the only way you have is with the Lord. Because if you leave here and you're not saved, it says it plainly in the Bible. People can say what they want to say. People going to heaven and hell. Listen, if they were not living for the Lord, that's not where they're going. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. We just got to know that because we still here, we still have time to repent and change. And so we don't end up there with them. So be blessed. Let's work our lives out with fear and trembling. I'm telling you these things to help you because, honey, it's helping me. It's strengthening me. I got things going on in my life that I needed to know answers to, that I'm fighting to understand. And God is showing me and he's helping me through it and he's guiding me. And I'm thankful for that. Okay, and a lot of stuff that we're talking about, these folks ain't talking about, because they talking about money, making money, sowing and doing this and doing that. I don't ask nobody for no money, no help, no nothing in anything. I got so much stuff going on in my life. Honey, I need the money all over the place. But guess what? God is my source and he is my provider, and he's always provided, and he's going to continue to provide for me and mine. He don't allow folks to just come out the woodwork helping me. He just don't. Why? I be saying, Lord, why? It's because he don't want nobody getting the glory out of it. Whatever goes on in my life, can't nobody say, oh, she wouldn't be this if it wasn't for me, because that will be a lie from the pit of hell. When I tell you every time I went through stuff in my life, only one was there but me and God. I don't care who all I helped and did for throughout all the time when I was doing good. When I went down, folks was not there. Please understand, they was not. I don't care who they was. They left me right there and they were happy and wanted to see me down and out and with nothing. And this is what they did. And this is why I am where I am. I don't care nothing about none of that. Do I love people? Yes. From a distance, I get it. I'm supposed to forgive, but that don't mean I got to be bothered with folks no more. God never told me I had to forgive them. But you do not have to refriend, read this, read that with anybody. Because if they did it before, what's changed? They'll do it again. I'm not saying people can't change, but it's a lesson. Love you to pieces, but from a distance. I got to stay over here and do what I need to do. Because I can't trust you people and I can't trust in you. Your mind, your heart is deceitfully wicked. You don't care nothing about nobody but yourselves. You can see my life falling apart, and as much as I try to help and be on here for everybody, honey, whatever's going on with me will be an afterthought. It's sad, but it's the truth. But people don't pay that no mind because all they worried about is themselves. They want you to be there for them, but they don't think about being there for you. They want you to support them, their ministry, their job, their careers, everything they doing. But when it comes to you, they don't support you. It could be your family, your friends, your this, your that. No. And if anything, they want the total opposite. So, honey, understand. Spouse, kids, friends, family, job, co-workers, whoever. I trust nobody. The church, none of them. Love them to pieces, love everybody. But do I trust them? No. Only one I trust is God. That's it. I can't trust folks. And God told me, do not put your trust in man. Do not ever put your trust in man. Only one you're supposed to trust is God. And that's it. And that's where I'm at. And I love it. And I'm rolling with it because guess what? It works for me. I don't know about nobody else. Love them to pieces. Love them to Reese's Pieces. But I ain't fooling with them like that. Okay? Yeah, that part. Why? Because I need to keep this here. Unless God himself come down and tell me, well, this is this and that. Oh, you supposed to be with this one. Or you supposed listen, sweetheart. Sorry, no, thank you. They could come prophesy all they want to. You think I'm listening to all these people, what they got to say about me? No, what God says is what I'm waiting on. That's what I'm listening to. Outside of that, I can't do it. But I love you guys. You know, you got to be able to trust who? God. Man will fail you every time. They slick. The devil get in them. He used them. You know, 1 minute y'all right. Next minute they can't stand you. They against you. And you ain't did nothing to them. But they want to see everything terrible for you. Anything you tell them good, they turn their mouth like that. Like, you know, and anything good, but anything bad, crack a little smile. You know, you can't. Listen. Ain't nobody got time. So I put my trust in who? And I do what? And I sit here and mind my business and don't bother nobody. And I share what I got, what I'm learning, and I'm on to y'all. And I tell God, whatever you showed me, I'ma share it. And that way I ain't held accountable for not saying nothing. You can't keep your mouth shut and don't say nothing. You know stuff, injustice, this, that. You want to help. You got to do something. You got to share it. So I'm sharing it. Because if you don't, you're just as part of the problem as everybody else. If you're not saying nothing, you got to open your mouth and share it and help someone else. It can't just be about you. But bruised and not broken. Be blessed, my loved ones here out here. Love you all to pieces. I got to go. I got some other things I need to be attending to. Yeah, I got a life. I got things going on too. I'm trusting and holding on my thread like everybody else. Why? Because things is real. But I know my God is more realer than any of all this stuff. So I'm just here. I'm doing what I need to do. And God said, hey, that's it. Lord, I love you. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. That way I don't get no whoopings. I ain't got no trouble with him. As long as me and him on good terms. Everybody else is a secondary. You know. Love y'all. Bruised and not broken. Be blessed.